The silence of the forest was a language Alex had come to understand. He was hiking, not for leisure, but for escape, a self-imposed exile from a world that had become too quiet after his loss. The crunch of his boots on the gravel path was his only companion, a steady rhythm against the hum of his own grief.
Then, a new sound broke the stillness, a faint, high-pitched whine. He stopped and turned.
There, on the dusty trail behind him, sat 3 tiny puppies. Their fur was a matted collection of dust and twigs, their ribs visible even from a distance. They weren't playing. They were watching him, their heads cocked with an unnerving, unified focus. Annoyance pricked at him first. He wanted solitude, not a furry, 4-legged entourage. "Go on, get out of here," he said, waving a hand dismissively. He turned and walked on, quickening his pace. The whining persisted, a tiny chorus of desperation now closer than before. He glanced back. They were trotting to keep up, their short legs working furiously. This continued for nearly a mile. Alex would stop, shoo them away, and they would pause only to resume their determined pursuit the moment he turned his back. It was baffling. It was relentless. He saw their exhaustion, the way their small bodies trembled with each step. But still, they came. Their eyes, wide and unblinking, were not just begging for food, they were pleading. The turning point came when the boldest of the 3, a little terrier mix with one floppy ear, broke from the pack. It ran ahead of him, stopped, and barked. A sharp, commanding sound that seemed impossibly large for its small frame. Then it turned and ran a few feet back the way they had come, stopping to look back at Alex, its entire body quivering with a silent, urgent message. It repeated the action: run, turn, bark, and wait. It wasn't just following, it was leading. In that moment, the fog of his own sorrow lifted, replaced by a sudden, shocking clarity. They needed him for something. They had chosen him. A strange feeling, one he hadn't felt in months, took root in his chest. Purpose. "Okay," he whispered, his voice hoarse. "Okay, I'm coming." He turned around and followed. The puppies, sensing the shift, yelped with a new energy, their tails wagging for the first time. They led him off the marked trail, through thorny bushes and over fallen logs, deeper into the woods. They moved with a desperate certainty, glancing back continuously to ensure their human was still with them. They finally stopped at the edge of a collapsed structure, the remains of an old, forgotten barn. The air was thick with the smell of damp earth and decay. A faint, low moan drifted from the wreckage. Alex's heart hammered against his ribs. He creeped closer, peering into the shadows of the caved-in roof, and then he saw her, the mother dog. She was pinned beneath a heavy, splintered beam, her body limp save for the shallow rise and fall of her chest. One of her back legs was bent at an unnatural angle. Her eyes, hazy with pain, fluttered open and found his. The puppies scrambled past him, whining and licking at her face, a frantic, loving reunion. Adrenaline surged through him. He found a sturdy-looking piece of wood and jammed it under the beam, using a rock as a fulcrum. He pushed with all his might, his muscles screaming in protest. The beam didn't move. He repositioned, took a deep breath, and heaved again. Slowly, groaning, the massive piece of wood lifted just enough. The mother dog, with a final, desperate burst of strength, dragged herself free. She collapsed a few feet away, panting, but alive. Alex knelt, offering her water from his bottle, which she lapped weakly. He broke off a piece of his energy bar, which she nudged toward her puppies. The journey back was slow. Alex carried the injured mother in his arms, her head resting against his shoulder. The 3 small puppies trotted faithfully at his heels, their mission complete. They were no longer leading. They were following the man who had answered their call. As he walked toward the setting sun, the weight in his arms felt different from the weight in his heart. He had come to the woods seeking to lose himself in the silence, to be invisible, but in the desperate eyes of 3 puppies, he was seen. He had been found, and in saving them, he had, in some small, profound way, begun to save himself.